What is going on, Ravens flock? Super excited to bring you guys the official series of the season, going behind enemy lines with the New York Jets. Super pumped, super excited. It is currently 12:15 on Friday night, technically Saturday morning, if that is what you consider. But this is gonna be the season for the series. Every team, 17 games. Let's ride, man. Let's get it going. The season started. Who cares? Who cares about roster construction? Who cares about premium positions? Let's just go into what's going on with these other teams that we're about to be facing. And yeah, once again, uh, if you guys like the video, please like it, subscribe, share with a friend. Love to get at least 100 subscribers before midway mark of the season. We're at 21 right now. Appreciate it. Same thing with Twitter. Love to get at least 600, 700 followers before the end of the midway mark of the season. So once again, if you guys enjoy, please share this video, and we will go on to the off-season additions for the Jets. So they add Garrett Wilson from Ohio State, Brees Hall from Iowa State, Sauce Gardner from Cincinnati, Jermaine Johnson from Florida State. They add Laken Tomlinson over from the 49ers, and they add DJ Reader from the Seahawks and Jordan Whitehead from the Buccaneers. So, all in all, I think these are pretty good off-season additions for the Jets. Uh, Once again, I think the Jets, what they're doing here, I like what they're doing here. They're adding a lot of foundational building blocks, and I think come a couple years' time, this could be a very good draft class for them. Jermaine Johnson, number two edge rusher. Sauce Gardner, top five wide receiver, probably number. I don't know my ranking off the top of my head, but I always win number two. And then Brees Hall, number one running back. Laken Thompson, a very good zone guard. DJ Reader, very good zone corner, and then Jordan Whitehead, a pretty good box safety. So, all in all, I like these additions. I think that it definitely moves the needle for them, and I think they are establishing a very rounded base here in New York. But to go to the departures, they lose Morgan Moses, current Raven. They lose Marcus May, Alonzo Fatukasi, very good underrated run stuffing defensive tackle. I think that was a pretty big loss for them. And then they lose Shaq Lawson and then their slot receiver Jamison Crowder. So all in all, net positive for the Jets in terms of all-season roster building. I don't think it's the worst thing in the world that they lost some of these guys. I think Marcus May is probably the biggest out of all of them. Morgan Moses is a serviceable right tackle that we currently have, but Morgan Moses also allowed like 40 or 50 pressures last year. So um, we'll see how all this shakes out for them. But I think when it comes down to it, they added ridiculous amount of talent in the draft. And they have a few guys on here that aren't listed, like Max Mitchell, that could be long-term replacements for guys like Morgan Moses. And you have Ashton Davis stepping up for Marcus May, and Fatukasi, very good run stuffer, but that is replaceable in this league. So to go on with it, here is the injury report for this week. Want to make sure that while we are getting to the season portion of this series, want to make sure everybody knows what is going on with the other teams we're playing. I once again trying to get these videos released as close to Sunday, so these injury reports are as accurate as possible. But sometimes time, you know, don't have the time on Saturdays and Sunday mornings to drop these. So out this week is Zach Wilson and Dwayne Brown. Obviously, Zach Wilson had that injury in the preseason game. And then Dwayne Brown during the week just couldn't come out there and practice. So very important for those two. And then questionable is DJ Reed, George Fant, Connor McDermott, and Justin Hardy. So DJ Reed and George Fant will play according to this report. Very curious to see their tackle situation. They're going to have a rookie out there and Max Mitchell. Once again, Max Mitchell is one of my guys in this draft. So I'm very curious to see how he performs. And then DJ Reed is a slot corner, and I think that's pretty good for them. But once again, Dwayne Brown, not so good. Them missing out on him. Very good veteran left tackle. And then Zach Wilson, their second-year quarterback out of BYU, is a huge hit to them. I don't care about Joe Flacco. I don't think he does very good in this game, and I think the Ravens defense could be able to get after him earlier. But going onto their depth chart, so at wide receiver, they have Corey Davis, Elijah Moore, and Braxton Berrios currently as their listed to start at three. You have Denzel Mims and Garrett Wilson as your listed 4 and 5. Coming to the offensive line, you have Laken Tomlinson, Connor McGovern, Elijah Vera Tucker, George Fant as your, I guess, well, George Fant's going to be flipping the left tackle, and then Max Mitchell. That makes out your starting 5. CJ Uzama as your tight end, Michael Carter and Breece Hall as your running backs, Joe Flacco as your starting quarterback currently. And then at edge on the defense, you have John Franklin Myers with Jermaine Johnson rotating in. You have Solomon Thomas, Quinton Williams, and Sheldon Rankins as your rotating front 3. At the opposite side of the edge, you have Carl Lawson, obviously. Kind of a forgotten signing here as well. Carl Lawson blew his ACL last year, but I do think he could be pretty good for them this year. Then at linebacker, Quinton Williams, C.J. Mosley, Quan Alexander, pretty good 3 linebackers. I do think that they rotate out. One of them does with Jermaine Sherwood, former safety out of Auburn. And then you have Michael Carter as your nickel corner, DJ Reed as another corner, and then Sauce Gardner as those 3. Breece Hall probably gets a fair amount of snaps for them. And then you have LaMarcus Joyner, not a huge fan, and then Jordan Whitehead and Ashton Davis. I prefer Jordan Whitehead as a strong safety role and Ashton Davis as a free safety role. So very curious to see how they use those guys. But all in all, the roster is okay for them. Their offensive line is smashed to hell. I do think that they could definitely are missing out on Mekhi Becton not being back this year. And I think defensively, I like their front 4. This front 4 is going to be very good. I like the linebacking core, but I think the secondary is a pretty big weakness for them. But let's go on to the key positional battles. So wide receiver. So obviously they have Braxton Berrios currently listed as their wide receiver, quote unquote 3. I think this is Garrett Wilson's job to earn. I think Garrett Wilson's the most talented receiver in this whole group. He's a very good route runner, very explosive. He can make plays over the top, underneath. Denzel Mims has been putting the dog pound for the Jets for a little bit, and I don't understand why this man has not been traded yet, but they're keeping him around for some reason. And then Braxton Berrios is a good slot receiver, but I don't think it's their number 2 target as it's currently listed, or number 3 target. So, yeah, if I was the Jets, kick Garrett Wilson on the field. He's a very talented football player, and clearly he likes the way Joe Flacco throws him the football. So, moving on, you have the running back group. So they draft Breece Hall in the 2nd round, I think early 2nd round, like pick 34, and then Michael Carter last year, North Carolina's finest. Go Tar Heels. I like Breece Hall. I think he can eventually be a very good running back in this league. It's just the Jets' offensive line isn't great, and Michael Carter is a very good receiving back on 3rd down. So I'm very curious to see how this positional battle plays out. I like both these guys. I think either of these guys deserve a starting job in this league. But you spend a 2nd round pick on Breece Hall, and you spend a 4th round pick on Michael Carter. So obviously you have a little more trust in Breece Hall, and you hope that he would be the running back 1 come week 4, week 5 or so. So it's an okay running back group. I think there's a little bit of upside here, and it will all play itself out. So to move on to the defensive side, the next key positional battle is defensive tackle. They have Sheldon Rankins, defensive tackle too. They have Sheldon Rankins. They have Solomon Thomas, and both very talented football players. Sheldon Rankins from the Saints, and then Solomon Thomas, drafted by the 49ers in the top 10 in like 2017, goes to the Raiders, has a pretty good season, and then it becomes a Jets free agent to reunite with Robert Saleh. So, um, all in all, I think that Solomon Thomas wins this job out. But Sheldon Rankins, once again, he's a decent football player. So it'll be curious to see how this plays out, but I do think that they are good at defensive tackle too. I don't think this will be a weakness for them. Maybe on third down, they put in Solomon Thomas, and then first and second down, they play Sheldon Rankins to play to their strengths. We will see, but that 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 does it for me on the defensive side. I think you can make an argument for maybe slot corner or edge for them, Jermaine Johnson and John Franklin Myers, and then Bryce Huff, and then or excuse me, Brees Hall and their other nickel corner. So very curious to see how all of these positional battles play out. We will go on to the overview. So their edge rushers, is it going to be a strength for them this year? Is it going to be a weakness? That's kind of my question with this. John Franklin Myers, Jermaine Johnson, and Carl Lawson. Those are your big three rotating in and out. Will that be a very good edge rushing group? We will see. I believe it will. I believe that this edge rush group could bang the drums of some offensive tackles this year, and potentially put themselves in the top 15 or so group. And then you have the quarterback question mark. When is Zach Wilson coming back? Ultimately, Joe Flacco, say what you want about him, worship him all you want, but he's not the top 32 quarterback in this league anymore. I don't believe so. So, moving on, wide receiver play. These wide receivers here can be very good. Top 20 in terms of talent, but the quarterback, it all depends on who the quarterback is. I do think that this wide receiver group though would pay very, very, very good dividends to Zach Wilson if he was the quarterback. And the running backs, how confident are you in a rookie and a second year player? And then Ty Johnson, 5th round pick from Maryland, also another very good football player. But all in all, I like the running back group, and then the cornerback group. It's a very unproven group. A lot of positions in this Jets team are unproven, kind of the theme. You have Brees Hall, Brees Hall. You have Sauce Gardner, rookie. You have a whole bunch of guys that are just kind of unproven, and you're not sure where you end up at the end of the season. But I think throughout all of these, you have youth, depth, and veteran presence. So, very curious to see where these end up, and then we will go on to the schedule prediction. I think the Jets end up 6-11. I think week 1, Baltimore Ravens should nuke them. My prediction is 36-11. And look at the schedule, man. This is like disgusting for like a third or fourth place team they were last year. You have you have the whole AFC North. You have the AFC East, obviously. Then you have the Packers, the Broncos, the Vikings, the Dolphins. Like that's a very hard schedule. And then obviously AFC North, NFC North. Those are your two divisional teams you have to play, and those are pretty tough games if I'm being honest with you. And then you toss in Miami and Seattle. So this is a hard schedule. Like if they went below 6-11, I wouldn't be surprised. But this is rough. This is really this is really rough, man. I'm not gonna lie, this is so rough. I would be pretty depressed if I was a Jets fan right now. Like the this schedule's just nasty. So if they pulled off 3 wins, they went 3-14, I wouldn't be surprised. But I'll toss out 6-11. I would take the under on that though. But all in all, this is a nasty schedule for them. And we will look ahead to their 2023 free agents. So who are the big guys you got to resign here? You got George Fant, a little bit older tackle, very serviceable. I do think that they probably bring him back for a 1 or 2 year deal. You have Connor McGovern, serviceable center. Same thing, 1 or 2 year deal, or maybe look to replace in the draft. Sheldon Rankins, I don't think you need to keep him around unless he is playing at a good level. You have Lamarcus Joyner, goodbye. Solomon Thomas, goodbye. Quan Alexander, they brought him in late. They have Quincy Williams. I would take Quincy Williams back in a heartbeat. I think he's a very good linebacker in this league. Also, shout out to Quincy Williams, Madden 2020 All Pro Superstar X Factor linebacker that I made out of him. So, all in all, the Jets aren't hurting for free agents next year. I think they'll have some money. They'll have some money to spend. Go get some offensive linemen because that core is going to fall apart pretty quickly if health does not favor them. So, all in all, you feel somewhat optimistic as a Jets fan as Zach Wilson is back and healthy, but I'm not I'm not feeling crazy about this. I think 6-11 for me is kind of a overshoot for them because that schedule is ridiculously tough, but we'll see. I do think it's a young team. I do think there's a lot of upside in this team, but you gotta go out there and execute and put it on paper. So to pivot to the week 1 game versus the Ravens, once again, we try and keep it in this series mostly other team focused, and then at the end, since the season has started, we will put a Ravens focus to it. I think the Ravens should stomp this team. I think it should be like my score prediction is 36-11. I think that this game should not be close. Joe Flacco throws 2 picks, 1 touchdown, and then Lamar Jackson puts up 345 yards total. So this Jets team shouldn't hold a candle to us. If they want to make it competitive for a quarter or two, so be it. But this team just I like what they got, but I think they need a lot more horses in terms of talent. So that about does it for this breakdown, this going behind enemy lines video. If you enjoyed it, once again, please leave a like, a subscribe, and retweet this when you see it on Twitter. And without further ado, we will close it out here. I think that this once again, the Ravens defense doesn't allow less than 13 points. This is going to be disappointment in my opinion. If this Ravens offense does score more than 30, it's going to be a disappointment. And yes, I'm setting my expectations high because once again, all the pressure is on you either float or sink. So appreciate you guys for joining. See you guys next week with the Dolphins. The Dolphins going behind enemy lines video, if I'm not mistaken. Kind of forgetting the schedule in my head, but yeah, appreciate you guys, and I will see you later.